Outside of
you
this,
can shoot it
Brian,
in.
you don't touch a thing.
Yeah, don't
Brian.
touch no buttons, Brian.
Hey, we're live. Shut up.
You just sit in
Oh,
the corner, Brian.
Before we get started, we want to make sure that you know not to touch buttons.
So don't touch
Right.
this.
don't
What does
touch.
this red button do?
Anything that's a big red button, don't touch. All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bait Shop. Appreciate
What
y'all
up?
being here,
What's going on?
along with Mr.
What's up,
Fred.
everybody? How y'all doing this evening?
Shut 'em down, Brian, and
Shut 'em down, Brian.
FOA Freddie. We welcome you all to the show tonight. I'll give it a minute. I don't see nobody jumping in here yet, except for we got Wabash Nate, Catfishing Dreams, and Bugman, but people will start
Big old V.
coming in
V
here in a
just
minute.
popped in.
What's
Starts
up,
letting
B?
people
Welcome
in
in.
here.
They're all
Right.
ready for this show to start.
Yeah,
Set
we're
hooks
gonna
across
give
the
it a
line. Nubbies. Channel member Troy, real and virtual outdoors. What's up, Troy?
Remember LG Bass just
What's up,
popped in.
LG? What's up,
Yeah.
Nick?
They're starting to come in. I see it.
What's up, Nubby?
Numbers just doubled. So got Rowdy Royal Small Water Charters has made it in.
What's up,
Oh,
Dominic?
Lord, there's
We're gonna
Dominic
keep you
Hollis.
on detention a little bit.
Man, I gotta say, Dominic Hollis, he just tore up the bank last weekend. I mean, not the fish, but he tore that bank up.
The bank, who
Yeah,
won?
yeah.
The bank or the
I believe
or
Bob
Dominic?
wasn't team. What do they call
No,
it?
he's
Not
trying.
Attitude won it all.
He's talking about between Dominic and the bank. Who won?
So he was fishing, not catching.
He was fishing, not
Yep.
catching. Wabash Nate, it was not I.
It was the Brian,
The Brian is the one that done it. What's up, old boys? Catch fish with us.
the
up,
smartest
DFF?
guy we know.
There's my beautiful wife. Get hooked on D fishing. All
What's
right,
up,
we're starting
D?
to jump up here. We'll talk. What's up, Hawk Catfishing? All right. Got an interesting topic tonight. We'll see how this goes. We're going to talk a little bit about Paylakes tonight. We do have a guest that's going to be joining us tonight. But I wanted to preface this because, Chris and I were talking before because, we didn't want to include Freddie and Brian because we knew Freddie was just going to smile and try to look pretty, and then Brian was going to try to shut the show down halfway through. So Chris and I figured we took it amongst ourselves to discuss what we were doing tonight. Because these guys just tag along for the extra views on their channels.
Yeah, they're just in it for the fame.
They're in for the fame and fortune that the bait shop brings along for them. But it's cool. But Paylakes, man, it's been a hot topic lately, all over the social media.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to Chris, and I was like, growing up, myself personally.
Well. Are you talking Paylakes or trophy Paylakes? There's a difference now.
Okay,
Well, let him finish, Freddie.
Look.
This is why we didn't include you in these
I was
conversations.
gonna say, look, Freddie hasn't talked on this show in like 6 months. He's just
moving around in the
smiles and
background.
looks pretty. Exactly. But when I was growing up, Paylakes were all around us up here, in the Ohio Valley area. My biggest introduction to catfishing was Paylakes around here. My stepdad and my brothers would take us a couple times a year to some of the local ones around here. As a kid, and then as a teenager, you start thinking, started noticing that, hey, there's people starting to bring fish in, right? It's not the escalation of Paylakes, especially over the last decade or two.
Well, they weren't farm raised.
They
used
weren't
to
farm
be
raised.
farm raised, and that changed.
Yes.
So there was a conversion between farm raised and now where we're at.
Right. Well, I'm saying from my personal experience, like I said, growing up, the lakes that we knew of around here had no idea where the fish came from. We just know we went fishing.
Mm-hmm.
As a teenager, and I was telling you, especially in my late teenage years, it started dawning on me when, I was understanding that they were getting fish from the river, but not to the magnitude of what they have become now. And then that's when I was like, whoa, okay, I'm not really liking that. The more I figured out what was really going on, and there's places around here, over on the Ohio side, especially, that are huge Paylake. Like, it's
Well,
incredible what's going on over there.
they're everywhere. It's
Um,
becoming a franchise.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's becoming more of a franchise and stuff like that. So, one, I wanted to make sure we touched base on that. I know I've brought it, up that growing up that Paylake's, I'd be the first to admit I've been to them, but I haven't been to one in probably 30 years now, 25, 30 years, somewhere around in that area. Once we figured that out, we started actually going and actually fishing, regular lakes and rivers. So, over like the last, like I said, decade or two, the increase in pressure has become noticeable, especially in my area, and I'm sure other areas, other states as
It's
well.
everywhere.
It's becoming more and more prominent. So we thought this was like a big subject to bring up tonight
Right.
and talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that was kind of a fad. Kind of seemed like a fad, but now the impact in our area, the impact all across the country, and not just, they're not just taking them out of the waters locally and moving them to ponds locally. They're moving them across the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of problems, not just the issues of taking our trophy fish, but they're moving bacteria around. There's also parasites. There's all kinds of things that are moving around that snails and other things that would never have been in Ohio that we only have in Virginia. Now they're moving all around, and that's going to create a big impact down the road. So there's a lot of issues with it.
Yeah. And Big Bill, he's a local buddy of mine. Known him since we were in high school, and he's been watching one particular lake that's around here that's 72,000 pounds and going. That's this year what they've stocked in their lakes.
Wow,
that's incredible.
Yeah,
but I mean, of course the Paylake stuff's been a hot topic.
Yeah,
but I think what we wanted to do with this is there's so much emphasis on throwing hate at this issue, but there's not any real education, and there's not a real understanding of why it's bad, and there's a lot of unknowns. There's things that we were just finding out about.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to go ahead and kind of, help clear the air a little bit and put some knowledge and some, let people know what's really going on.
Absolutely. So like you said, we do have a guest that's going to join us here tonight. And, Stan, you're in Brian B. League, brother. You ain't caught a single fish either this year, just like Brian B. So we don't want to hear it. Notice there's a 72 for both of them. They're just trying to make up numbers and stuff.
There's
72
is
a good number. I'm just saying.
This is what I'm going to ask. So what we've put together tonight. So there's already 54 people watching. I'm telling you, this is a great overall story. I'm going to make sure that number one in our chat, because I can, like Chris just said, this can get to be a very hot topic very, very quick. We appreciate the engagement and stuff like that, but listen to the entire story. All right. So that sound good? Sound fair, Mr. Chris?
Sounds good. Yeah. The story is what I think. So here's the thing. Everybody listen. The story that's going to be told is the ideal, how it ends is the ideal solution, or hopefully what we hope other people that are Paylakers and Paylake fish will become. And so with that said, just keep an open mind, enjoy the story, and you're going to be surprised by some of the stuff that has gone on in the past.
Heck yeah.
Hopefully we can use this as a platform to try to stop it and grow our industry a different way.
Yeah, and maybe give some folks some ideas in their head too of a better way to go about what we've seen happening, because I'm the same way. Sometimes I see these pictures of 5,000-10,000 pounds of fish getting dumped in, and it makes me irate. I'm not going to act like I don't, but hopefully everybody will understand, like, there's probably a better way to handle this stuff.
And I would love to stop seeing the pictures of this stuff with just hate thrown in that direction. If you're going to post pictures and on Facebook, whatever, about this topic, put some knowledge behind it and tell people why you don't like it. Not just I hate Paylake or whatever. Tell them why. Help educate them. That I think that would definitely get something better. Yeah, well, that's a whole different story.
I will hopefully one of these days I will pay small water charters to take me bait fishing for some bass down there. I can't wait.
All right, my headset went away. Can you hear me still?
Okay, so again, so respectful is maybe a harsh word. It's the bait shop. Love dialogue. Like I said, what I don't want is like what Chris is saying. Let's have an actual open conversation, but listen to the story before.
About to say, better yet, listen to the story before you
listen to the story.
That's the big thing, is listen to the entire story before you jump into anything. So I want to ask my guests to give me a thumbs up if they're ready to be brought up, and let's start this shindig.
Let's go.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There's Mr. Todd. Welcome to the bait shop, Todd.
Welcome in, Todd.
You still hear us all right?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Welcome on. We're glad that you're here. Can't wait to share your story. It's gonna be great for everybody.
Nah, we don't need to disable the chat.
So. That's all right.
I got the best community here that's gonna behave themselves somewhat in a bait shop manner type behavior. So all right. So Mr. Todd, I guess kind of let's take it back a little bit, and there's a reason why we're having a discussion with you. What is your background? Let's kind of maybe take it back to the beginning, I guess, with all this.
When I first really started getting into actually catfishing itself, I loved it, and I just wanted to fish all I could, and I didn't have a boat, and so I just had to fish where and when I could from the bank. And I had heard about this pond that you could go catch catfish up that turns out to be a Paylake in my area. And I just, I went there to fish and to, try to get better at catfishing. Because like I said, I first started out, I really wanted to I just really wanted to catch fish and get better at it. And that was what was available.
Right, the opportunity presented
area
itself to be able to go catch quality size fish. Right, that's what you saw. Is that fair?
Right. I had been catching fish, but I've been catching a bunch of small channel cats, 5-10 pounds, and I wanted to get to where I could catch bigger fish. And there's this pond up the road, and it had 20-30 pound catfish in it, and you could catch them there all day long. So it was a whole lot closer than the nearest lake to me. So that that's the opportunity opened up to me, and that's how I started going to a Paylake.
Well, that was the same thing. Like I said, my stepdad took us when I was, like I said, single digits when I first got my introduction to him. And that was the thing. You know, there was those 30, 40, 50-pound fish. And they had a flathead named Mo. It was, you know, the most talked about fish there, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was intriguing because you knew that they were in there, and that was, again, as a kid, you're like, man, that's huge. You're seeing these fish,
Yeah.
or even as a young adult, you know, it's like, hey, I can go there and catch quality fish. But then it's, you know, the more you got into it, like I did, you know, I thought that was kind of what was interesting when talking to you prior to this was some of the similarities there. Now, obviously, there's more to your story that we're going to get into, but you know, what took you even further into the Paylake world, right? That would be, I guess, my next question.
So I just I fished it a total. I came in when I first went there. The season was about over. The Paylake had a season from April until late September, first weekend October, something like that. And so I came in. I found it. I fished a couple of months, and then it went to the off season, and then when it started back up in the spring, I went and fished that whole one season with it. And at the end of that season, the Paylake had some problems with an employee that they had to let go, and they didn't have anybody to fill that vacancy. So the owner came and asked me, "Hey, you're popular up here. People tend to like you. You're a good guy. Do you want to come up here and help with this?" And I just thought of it as a way I could make some extra money. They had said that I wouldn't have to work every weekend. Some weekends I'd work, some weekends I'd fish. So I'll split my time, and I'll get to hang out and do things around here, and I'll make a little extra money at it, like a part-time job on the weekends.
Okay. So you went from
And so from there.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll stop you. I'll just let you keep going. Go ahead. Tell us your story.
Yeah. So when the next season looped around, I started taking on the duties of actually running the tournaments every few Saturday nights, or when the owners would go on vacation or whatever they made me out of schedule, and I would go in and set up and get the tournaments ready, and check out the ponds and things, and see what did and didn't need to be done. Just get it up for tournament time when the people would come in and actually run the tournament till the end. Weigh fish, help stock when stock came in, when they restocked the ponds, and a lot of crazy things you have to do working at a Paylake.
So at this time, you're what you think you're living out your dream, I guess, or you're excited about what you're doing, catching big fish. You don't really know other than fishing from the bank, catching blue channel cats and stuff. You haven't been exposed to the rest of the community. As far as you're not fishing anywhere else.
No, you're right. At that point in time, that was the only real exposure that I had to fishing. I had I didn't know anybody. I didn't know which river to go to, or what water held what kind of fish or nothing. I mean, and like I said, I hadn't been exposed to any of that. Nobody had really ever taken me out fishing on a boat or catfishing, especially on a boat at that point in time. I was just learning, on the fly best I could.
One of the things that you had said to us the other day or earlier that really surprised us was, and this surprised me because I don't know how this worked. I thought there was permits and rules and regulations. You were saying that they would just they would buy these fish from anybody that walked in.
You didn't necessarily have to have a commercial fisher's license. Now there were times when they would make fish orders from bigger companies that would bring in like a tanker of truck, and we'd weigh them out and put X amount in the top pond and X amount in the bottom pond. But then there were times when guys would come up with those big plastic with the metal rails around them, containers, 450 gallon water tanks. And they just have fish in them, and they'd pull up to the scales and she'd weigh them and decide which pond she wanted to put them in, and pay those guys what she paid them. I think what that pond was paying at the time, I think, was something like $2 a pound. And you didn't have to be a license. She took them from any one of us that were fishing there at the pond as a fisherman. Paylake, somebody that paid to fish there. If we'd have brought fish up there, she'd have bought them from us. She didn't care where the fish came from.
And at the time, you didn't know this was wrong, but they were taking flatheads, which are illegal.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. See, it took me a while to learn everything, and I learned more once I walked away from Paylake's. But at the time, that was just the way that it was described to me from the owner was, well, those guys bring me fish. I could just say they work for me, and that's the way that is.
Knowing they was wrong, that's why she said they work for. Trying to say they work for them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So basically, no matter how they could get them, they're going to get them. Because I did see somebody posted in chat, and the same thing around here is under the table. They're still going to get their fish. Right.
They at $2 a pound, they would love Freddie though, because they would just be giving him $2 per fish.
I was waiting.
His last tournament. Thank you very much.
Hey, Freddie, at least this year you would have gotten paid. Brian,
not so much. Brian,
not so much.
So what was what's the conditions like? What's the water quality? What's the was there any effort or emphasis put into
taking care of the water,
taking care of the fish, or was it just
the only time? Okay, the water in the Paylakes was just the water that was in the lake. The only circulation of water that you would ever get would be a hard rain that would maybe flood it, and they had a drain that would drain down, or if it would come over the dam wall into the other pond. But a hard rain was the only new water or circulation you've got now. And the only thing as far as water maintenance that gets done that I saw was every now and then when they would bring a flathead or a blue to the scales, they would have these little small white round bugs that were attached to the skin of these fish. And there's some kind of mite, some kind of parasite that grows in unclean water, and they would attach themselves to the fish. And when they started showing up at the scales like this, then like most of the fish that night had them on there, she would go down to like a Tractor Supply or some farm supply store, and they would buy blocks of salt, big, huge, like 20, 25 pound blocks of salt. And they would buy like, I don't know, 40 of them. And we'd go around. One of the things that I had to do, among other things, was when this happened, was to throw these salt blocks into the water to try to help kill the parasites and the bugs in the water.
Bacteria.
But as far as doing anything to make the water clearer or cleaner or healthier, or filter it in any kind of way, No, I mean you had guys that would come out there and they would drink and throw beer cans in the water, and that stuff just stayed. If it didn't float and somebody scooped it out with a net, if it sank, it lived there. So no, as far as water treatment at these places, it's very little to none.
So other like you said, other than a rain flushing some water and cleaning a little bit, there's nothing being taken care of. So if whatever's going in, staying in,
And just
like stagnant.
It's just growing there.
No.
Yeah.
The only thing, so if
and there'd be days when we'd come in and there would be dead fish floating in the water because the water conditions weren't so bad. And then, I mean, of course, they didn't want the other fishermen to see this, so we would just take those fish out and either throw them in the woods or throw them in a trash can or something like. Mostly they just throw them in the woods when they died. And some days you'd come in and there'd be a fish dead in each pond, and sometimes you'd come in and there'd be 3 fish dead in the pond. And they weren't. Some of the fish you could tell were aged and had been there for a while. Once you put a fish in waters like that, it will only be able to sustain its health for so long. Right. And like, for instance, if you just say right now, if we were to go and put in a 40-pound flathead, and in a month, that flathead would weigh 37 pounds. And in 3 months, it might weigh 30 pounds. And they looked really bad. They looked like, I mean, you could like see rib cages, like a dog that hadn't been fed. You know,
it's
and
starving.
Sometimes sometimes they get deliveries and put them in, and we'd go in the next day, and there'd be like new fish just dead. Couldn't acclimate themselves to the water. And I mean, that's just, they throw them in the ditch. They throw them in the woods.
So at some point through all this, you had a dramatic change of opinion where you realized that this was not how things should be done. And then you changed your whole life to be a promoter and conservationist for the industry, for the catfish community, the catfish. I know the answer, but why don't you tell everybody what the change was?
So I worked that season for the Paylake. Yeah.
Hey, Todd, can I ask one question before you tell what changed, just to see if I'm right? Was it people yelling and calling you a loser and everything that changed your mind? Or was it?
No.
Okay, I'm just playing. Go ahead. Hitch by Hitch. Thank you very much for the $20 super chat. I'm joking, Todd, but
thank you, Hitch by Hitch.
If it wasn't, it wouldn't be the base. I couldn't throw a joke in there. So
we have to talk a little shit. Yeah. Timing is everything, Chad. Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. So go ahead.
In my area in North Carolina, if you are a cat fisherman, whether you are a tournament cat fisherman like we are, or whether you are a Paylaker, you hear about things. And I had heard, I fished Paylakes for that one. I fished Paylakes for like a part of a season, and then the one season fully, and then the one season that I worked and fished. But I only worked there for the one season. Having to throw away the dead fish, that was kind of a buzzkill on the whole thing. That was really a part of the job that I didn't like coming in to work and seeing dead fish floating. I really didn't. It's like, damn, that's not cool. And in my area of the country, like I say, in North Carolina, you hear a lot about a couple of things. one of the big things in the area is right across the state line in Virginia is the Ice Bowl every year, and people would talk about going to the Ice Bowl, and we're going to go to the Ice Bowl, or I'd like to go to the Ice Bowl, and I got curious to find out what the Ice Bowl was, and so I did my research on that, and I thought, oh, okay. So I'd like to go try this. So me and another guy who had a boat, who used to Paylake, by the way, who I have brought out of Paylakes or helped get out of Paylakes. But anyway, we decided that we would go do this Ice Bowl thing. And I went up to the Ice Bowl, and just the industry was there. There were 500 people. They kept saying they were going to have the captain's meeting in the parking lot. And I kept thinking to myself, why are we going out in the parking lot? Why we got this hall right here? And so that night when the captain's meeting came around and we all went out in the parking lot, I was just surrounded by all these cat fishermen, and it was so exciting, and everybody was hyped up and pumped up. And this was like, man, I'm really glad to be here and to be a part of this, because this is cool. And I'd never been in a real tournament before in my life, and so this was like really just super exciting for me. So we did that, and I think we finished like 71st out of 200 and some boats, but we thought, we did better than 2/3 of the field, so that was all right.
Still higher
in a couple of weeks.
Just to jump in, if anybody doesn't know, that's the largest catfish tournament in the United States. So it's a big
Ice Bowl. If you've never fished the Ice Bowl, please.
It's a big deal. So
I plan on coming back out this coming year. So.
But and it was a couple of weeks after the Ice Bowl, another friend called me up and said, "Hey, Todd, you've got what it takes to come out here and do these professional tournaments. You're a great cat fisherman, but you have to leave those Paylakes alone." And he said, I'm looking for a partner, somebody that I can trust and count on, and that knows what they're doing. And he said, I'd love for that to be you, but these guys I'm out here fishing with, they won't cotton to it very well to Paylakers. And so here's an opportunity for you. What do you want to do? And I said, I had just come off that Ice Bowl, and I was still super excited. And I said, yeah, no problem. I can. He said, can you walk away from Paylakes and do the right thing? And I said, yeah. He said, well, if you come out here, I'll teach you. I said, I'm there. I walked away from Paylakes, and I never looked back. And that was, I think the last Paylake season I did was like 2017. I think like 2018 was my first Ice Bowl, and I've done nothing but
never look back,
but practice CPR and learn about putting it back to the community instead of taking out from it, and just it's been a really great ride on this other side.
Well, you have done it's first of all, proud of you. I'm proud of everything you've done. You've done a lot for the community. Not just, some other stuff we'll talk about where you've already taken some people from that other community and brought them over, converted them, showed them, how we operate now. But you've inspired a lot of people. You are involved with children's communities, getting the kids fishing. You run multiple tournaments. Tell us about the tournaments that you're doing now. And this is like giving back stuff.
Well, yeah, and it's things that I never could have done just if I had stayed at the Paylake level. I came out, got blessed enough to be sponsored by Catfish, and took that notoriety, started throwing my own tournaments. I currently have 5 at any given time that I can throw throughout during the year, but my two biggest one is I throw one in May. It's called One for the Kids. It's totally strictly a kids tournament for kids 15 and younger. And with that, I bring in the American Children's Home Orphanage, and we sell T-shirts and hats with the event logos on it, and we give 100% of all those sales to that orphanage. And then, and that's in May. And then I'm coming up this December on my 5th annual Catfish Christmas, where I do a big Christmas catfish tournament for the community here on the Yadkin chain in Lexington, North Carolina. And we also bring in the American Children's Home Orphanage on that too, and raise some money for those kids there at Christmas too. And these are things that I could not have done had I not got out here. I wouldn't have been able to put back into the community and show my appreciation for everything I've learned, and for the guys in this community that have supported me and helped me take my fishing game up to the next level, put me on better equipment and it's things like that. I've had a tremendous amount of support from this community, and I'm very appreciative of it, and only want to put back into it as much as I can. Try to leave something for the future.
Sean, there's
to tell our kids it's catfishing, instead of just telling them stories about this thing we used to do called catfishing. Then our lakes get depleted and it's not here anymore.
Sean, there's like 230 boats.
Yeah, I thought it was like
this past one was 236 boats. Just looked it up. Chad finished 24th.
That's right, baby.
Brady finished 53rd,
way
and
to
Todd
go,
finished 56. So you got three of the top 60 right here.
Not Chris.
Yeah, not Chris. Chris fished it, but I think they were in 235th place.
Yeah,
we were there as we were there as a promotion support.
He was our promotional sport animal. Okay, got it.
We were I had my "Don't touch me." I'm a support animal vest on, and we
Team Infamous
sponsored the event. And I've been working with Mike Lawrence, who will try to get on the show at some point, but I've been working with him for several years, and it's a hell of a tournament. It's always been fantastic. It's grown every year, and I'm gonna tell you what, to be able to put together a tournament with 236 boats and not have backups and all kinds of other problems, you got to have your stuff together, and they definitely do.
I will tell you what, it was worth. I drove 11
Big
hours.
Shout out to Mike Lawrence. Big shout out to Mike.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Mike and that whole crew did an outstanding job. That was my first big tournament to ever go to 3 years ago. I've been to the past 3 because of that tournament.
Yeah, Twisted Whiskers. I'm pretty much retired, man. I'm just there to support. I'm gonna probably do a barbecue like I normally do, but I'm pretty much retired from the tournament game. We did it for 20 some years, and I'm ready to give back through cooking and bringing barbecue and just being there.
Cooking.
And I can't catch anything anymore, so.
Brian has taught him
True story.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it there, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Todd, I've known you for a while. It's an amazing story. I don't understand why there's not more regulations. I don't know why it's not regulated. I don't know why there's not rules and things that maybe it's just something that's swept under the rug. People don't know about it.
I think there's multiple reasons. I think even like here in Kentucky gets a bad rap because a lot of our regulations and stuff, but they have increased regulations around here a lot.
Well,
part of the problem though is the DNR being able to enforce it, with the amount of DNR that we have in our area, or like what they were talking about earlier, under the table, people taking them fish to places like, the big one up in Ohio, Catfish. I think it's Catfish Paradise or whatever it's called. It's like the biggest one around, and nothing is done for as far as auditing where they're getting their fish and enforcement, because for like the state of Ohio, that's a lot of money that's coming in and out of that place to be able to grease the palms or taxes or whatever you want to say that's happening up there. I have no proof otherwise, but that's part of the reason why, and why it hasn't stopped completely around here.
Right. So what gets people? So they're doing So Phil, So they're doing tournaments, and so these Paylakes they're getting people in. I mean, it's got to be money driven. So they're doing tournaments.
Huge.
So how does this work? When you were back then, how was that working?
Okay, well, tournaments are only done at that Paylake on Fridays and Saturdays, but the place is open Monday through Sunday. Now, you wanted to come in and fish for the day on days that there weren't tournaments, then you came in and you paid like a $10, $12 fee and you could fish all day. So that's one way that they generate money for themselves. Another way that they generate money for themselves is on tournament night. There is the money that you put in for the tournament. Say the tournament, the $7 an hour, costs you $7 an hour to get in. All the hourly money is divided by how many people are fishing that hour, and that determines your total. But how they made, and they 100% paid out that money. How they made their money was through a sign-up fee. It costs you $10 to sign up for the tournament. So you pay that $10. Then it's $7 an hour to fish for the tournament. And that was, so they just took their $10 off the top in a sign-up fee. And then the actual tournament money was separate, and they 100% paid out it.
So that's
and then also up at the shack. Also up at the shack, they did things like they sold worms, they sold hooks, they sold weights. They sold food. You could get pizza, you could get French fries, hot dogs, hamburgers, and that's money that they would invest and bring in product and then charge a price for it, and then more way to get profit. They also, another way that they make money is on bait. We had a 4-leaf clover bait trap, and I would go up on Friday at say 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock and throw the bait trap in, and then come back at 5 and pull the trap. Now the tournament's not till 6, but I pulled the trap 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then whatever bait was in the trap, we'd put in the aquarium inside, and you sell those bait fish for like bluegills for like $2, and mudcats for like $3, or go out and throw a net and get up a shad and then sell your shad for $2 a piece, $3 a piece, depending on how big they were. $5 for a bag for a smaller dollar bill size, things like that. Just they made money on the sign up fee and like just fishing tackle and betting on the fact that you were going to be there for a few hours and you were going to get hungry. And then the daily, 10 people came in. Go ahead.
How many people came through there in a week, would you say?
I mean, like Friday nights.
I'm just trying to get an idea, what kind of income.
Some Friday nights some Friday nights there could be 30 fishermen up there, and some Saturday nights there could be 30 fishermen up there. If it rained really bad, maybe 4 people would show up, but it didn't matter. They'd always run it. No matter if people showed up and wanted to fish, they'd run it. But like on an average night, 25, 30 fishermen, and that's just on Friday and Saturday. And then I wasn't up there during the week. Like I say, it was my side job on the weekend. So, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people came in the week. When she would stock the ponds, when the ponds were freshly stocked, then they would come up there, you know, a little bit more as to when, say, it'd been a while since the pond got stocked. The numbers during the week wouldn't be as big during the week. But if she freshly stocked that pond, then her during the week numbers would pop up for a while the fish lasted.
I'll say it. I've seen Brandon dropping some facts about the one that I was talking about earlier. And like he just said there, you know, Ohio now has like tournament trails at the Paylakes and stuff. And, you know, Paylakes around there are 100 plus for the weekend. They have tournaments that's like $650 to get in and $80,000 purses. And that's, again, that's how they're attracting more and more people into this now. The money is getting unreal. What they're doing, and he's saying that the one leg they're claiming about $3 million in profit a year, right?
Wow.
Off of this. So it's
just
again,
devastating the rest of our.
It is. But you know, I got a question for Todd. So like Chris was talking about earlier, you know, people that you know that used to be Paylakers as well, that you've now kind of crossed over into the other catfish community, you know, how did you go about that? Right. Because again, I see it all the time on Facebook. You know, Chris said it the best, you know, people will throw up a picture and we're bashing each other and they're fighting back, you know, and all that sort of thing. So how did you go about those people and saying, hey, come to the,
so
to the other side?
It was, I mean, at the time, I had been out here for about a year. I was trying to throw my own tournaments and I was having a little bit of success with that. And I threw my first Christmas tournament I had 8 boats. And then, but with no sponsors and not very much promo, I knew the basic structure of it, but didn't really know how to. Mm-hmm. But my second Christmas, I had 37 boats and all kinds of big national sponsors. And it was really, it was really cool thing. I got picked up from Catfish, and I had some friends from the Paylake. They would see this, and we would tell them, man, you could come out here and do this. You're better. I basically told them what I was told. Hey, you guys are better fishermen than that. You could come out. You have what it takes to come out here and do this. You just gotta let all that other stuff go, because I mean, nobody's gonna help you out here if you don't. Mm-hmm. And so they was kind of they saw everything that was happening to me and to my partner at the time, and then we seemed to be going places, and we were, and within the fishing industry and trying to do good things for the community, but they weren't, they were kind of back and forth. And one day, one tournament morning down on High Rock Lake, we pulled in and we put in the boat in the water, and my other buddy who had been Paylaking came up, and he was just like hoping anybody would take him out. And so I said, okay, here it is. We'll take you out and you can go with us. But if you do, you can't go back to that Paylake. And if you have any thoughts about, if you're not 100% set in your mind, then you just don't get on the boat. Just don't come with us. But if you're really serious about this and you want to learn why this is better and why it's better for the fish and for the environment and for the future and for your kids. If you really want to learn the good stuff and catch fish and have all that great, I won the tournament feeling type, or I placed real good. If you want to get in on all this, then you have to let it go. And he did. He said, no problem. And when I first started doing this versus Paylake, one of the first things I did was I went and deleted all my Paylake pictures because I didn't want any of that popping up, and I didn't want anybody to, this Paylake thing wasn't cool, and I wanted to be in with the crowd. I didn't know why yet, but this is one of the things that I had to do, so I did it. And so by that time, when these guys came along and wanted to do it, I knew why, and I explained to them about conservation and little fish don't make big fish, but big fish make little fish. So if you're going to take fish or eat fish, take those little 5-6 pounders and eat them and do whatever. But these big fish, if you want your kids to catch fish and your grandkids to catch fish, you have to leave these bigger fish. You have to leave these breeders in the water to do what they do. And we explained, and look at the water conditions. And if you leave this fish 45 pounder in this river, in this natural body of water, he's going to live another 20-25 years happily. If you put him in this, if you take that 45 pounder and you put him in this Paylake, he's going to live 3 more months, and we're going to throw him in a ditch. And it's things like that like Chris said, there's a lot of Paylakers are bad, but they're not necessarily bad people. Some of them are really great people. They just don't know why. They don't know why. They don't have the education. They don't have somebody
exactly
like I had to come explain to me.
Well,
I'm not bashing any Paylakers as people that are uneducated. Now you're going to have people out there that get educated and just don't care, and that's a really bad thing. But for anybody,
but there's just people like that.
Learn why. Yeah, if there's anybody that really wants to say, "Hey, I'm Paylaking, but I'd like to realize why everybody and give it a shot of why everybody says it's so bad," man, I'd love to take more people and show them the good side of it.
Well, and that's a good point, though, Todd, because we were talking, we were talking earlier, kind of getting to really know each other a little bit better about it. And you telling me your story and stuff like that. And, same thing with what I started to show out, guys, is, when I was younger, what I was exposed to, just like you, it was what was local and what, you were kind of had the opportunity to get you into the sport. I was ignorant for years. As a kid, I didn't know any better. As a young adult, I started to kind of put 2 and 2 together, and as I became a late teenager and younger adult, that's when it hit me. Right, I became less ignorant as I got educated and said, these fish are being pulled from the Ohio and Kentucky River for the Paylake that Paylakes we were at here, right?
We're talking trophy Paylakes, not just normal Paylakes.
Trophy Paylakes.
There are some Paylakes out there that are okay, that they get farm raised fish for.
There's trout lakes.
These are non-indigenous.
Yes.
Yeah. For the most part, the majority of them are turning into trophy Paylakes, and
that's what they're becoming because
breaking our rivers.
They're becoming that because that's
where the money is.
It's where the money is. But it is education, like we've talked about. It's education. This blasting people just because they're one way or the other. I've been completely against it the whole time, and I've said it to Todd and many other people. Explain why, and I'll, as a leader in the community, and I hopefully Freddie and other leaders take this and run with it. If there's anybody that wants to have an experience outside of that community and wants to come and get on the rivers, get on the lakes, get on the boat, we'll go catch bait. You just send them my way. I'll pay for everything. Get on my boat, and we'll go. At least we'll break some bread, have a good time, and I'll show you my world, like Todd showed some other folks his world, and and if it doesn't change their mind, if they don't like it and they still want to pay, like, that's fine. But I'm definitely at least offering the opportunity to expose you to something, to expose not you, but to expose people to something different.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, whether it's 50-50 out of there of people that are fishing pay lakes now that just don't care what you say, it'll never change them. There's still that 50% that maybe are just like we were back when it used to happen. Is
Well,
they just need that education and exposure into something like that. What Chris is saying, right?
I think a lot of the transition will be hard because it's easy.
True.
That's the main thing. I think it's just easy. It's a real easy way to catch a big fish. It's not going to be easy, but we're gonna do it. It'll be a different way, and I think that the experience
more rewarding.
I'm banking on the reward. Yeah, the reward coming from the experience versus
the search is part of the fun. Trying to find
just
them.
the fight alone has got to be. I mean, I don't know but I would assume that just the fight alone has got to be much more intense.
It's a totally different fight, especially if you're river fishing. When you've got a catfish swimming in a river, it's kind of like he's swimming against current or with current. He's always in current, and he's nothing but a swimming muscle because he has to get stronger to adjust to that. Now, when you take this muscle and out of that current and put it into a pay lake, in that still, I mean, he's going to lose that weight. He's going to lose that muscle. Right. He's going to lose those pounds. He's going to get unhealthy. He's not going to have anything to fight against, and he's going to get lazy. And you're right, Chris. A pay lake, a 20-pound pay lake catfish, and a 20-pound catfish out of the river, or not necessarily the river, or out of a lake. That's two different, totally fights altogether. It's much better and more exciting.
I don't know
in wild water.
I don't know the statistics, but I would imagine that those fish in the lake get caught. I mean, in those pay lakes get caught multiple times.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the fish you're going to catch in the rivers and the other lakes, they're green. They've probably never been caught before. So.
Yeah. Think about there was this one big fish, one big flathead who, like I say, they all eventually get smaller, but you could tell he had been caught multiple times. He was identifiable. He had a big hole in the side of his jaw where he had been hooked so many times that it just formed a big hole that would not heal itself. And when he would come to the scales, we'd be like, "Oh, you caught that one again." And there's so many ways that a fish, from holes to parasites to bad water. There's a lot of they don't do anything good for the health of a fish whatsoever.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures of fish like that with the holes or sores all over their mouths from it, and different stuff. You hear about some lakes putting stuff into the water that burns the fish's gills just to get them amped up for those tournaments. And it is a sad situation that hopefully like your story reaches other people that maybe are doing this, maybe even outside of people like what Chris is saying, leaders in this community trying to reach these people. Maybe your story here, somebody will come across this video later on and rewatch it and be like, "Oh, they're bad mouthing us pay lakers," and they actually hear the real story of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
we're not here to badmouth anybody.
Exactly.
We're here to just give first
inform.
This is information. This is how it is at this, and it may be different lake to lake and whatever.
But it may.
This is this. I would assume that anytime it's money driven, things are going to operate. So anything, all right, with business, it's all about profit, right?
Mhm.
So you kind of mentioned some things there. As far as all they did was throw some salt in when they knew they had bacteria. They're not treating the water. They're not going to, because they're going to spend more money that comes out of their pocket.
Mhm.
So it's all about money and
Mhm.
how we can keep our costs down as low as possible. And what I'm hearing is, and what I've seen over the years, that the easiest way to keep your costs down is just to replenish.
Yep.
And so they can cycle out the old with new. And I'm sure they post about, we just restocked, and it's going to get more people fishing. That gets more money, and it's a cycle.
Well, and there's some seasons. There's some seasons where they wouldn't stock at all. And you just chase around the same 10
You just out
fish
there
in
with a hook in
pond.
the water.
Well, Country Girl trout farms are different.
I mean,
that is like farm raised.
we had a side pot. We had a side pot, 40 and over, and whoever caught the 40 won the side pot. Only there was no 40 in the lake.
Real quick, somebody talked about a trout farm. That's totally different. Trout. These are farm raised fish. These are raised from fingerlings to. That's how they're raised. And those trout farms, they have to have running water. Most of the time, they are pretty good environments because the trout won't survive in any other way.
Those fish are a lot more
The only
sensitive.
thing about a catfish,
We're talking about taking these trophy fish out of rivers and introducing them to a pond. But so just real quick, what's the largest catfish you ever saw weighed in one of those? I'm just curious.
it would have been in the high 30s. The Paylake that I worked at wasn't how do I say it? They'd get big fish in. Sometimes she would get like a 40 in after people stop like just getting in the 40 and over pot, because there's no 40 and nobody ever won the money. It's just bankrolled and bankrolled. And then that 40 was going to lose weight within a month, and it wasn't going to be there anymore. But in the 30s, she didn't have a consistent. It seemed like this pond was always scrambling. They'd buy fish from you this year, but you wouldn't be there next year. So they'd buy them from Freddie, and Freddie wouldn't be there the next year. So they'd have to get them just wherever they could. They had no consistent. And the reason that they didn't was because they could have got them every year from the big fish distributor company. They just didn't want to spend that kind of money.
Yeah, it cut down on their profit.
So why should I go over here and spend $10,000 with the guy when I can?
Yeah, cut down on their profit. They're gonna pay Freddie for them 2-pound fish. Just throw them in there so people can catch some fish.
Can't believe you pick on him like that.
Well, at least somebody's fishing. Brian don't even know what that is anymore.
Well,
I'll catch up.
Brian's already been over there Googling where to go fishing. It's been so long since you've been fishing, Brian. You're Googling the best place to go.
It ain't with you.
That's why we split the screen like we do, Todd. So we got the catching side over here with me and Freddie, and then you have that side over there.
You can't get them all in the same room by any.
That's right.
Hey.
But Todd, this has been an awesome night, man. This has been a great story, and I think it hopefully, like I said, opens maybe some eyes out here of maybe a better way to even approach the situation, but also for people that may come across this and hear a great story of an eye-opening experience, what you started to what you transitioned over to with the catfish world. So I love it, man, and appreciate you being here tonight with us.
Yeah, man. It's
Shut up,
Thank
Stan.
you for having me.
Hey.
I appreciate it.
there's a lot of people there's a lot of people out there that probably would be afraid to tell the story.
Yeah.
And props to you. Mad respect.
Todd ain't scared of nothing. Y'all ain't see that video when Todd jumped in the water?
I forgot about that video. We did. I forgot about that.
You get him 1,000 likes on jumping in the water.
I forgot about that. Oh, can I tell that story real quick? I'm gonna tell it.
In January.
So we were shooting. So me and Brian and some other guys were shooting. We were making videos, and so Todd calls and says, "All right," he says, "Hey, can I help out?" I said, "Yeah, man." I said, "Meet us up at this. Here's where we're gonna be." He shows up, and we're out on this long dock. Some people might have watched the videos, and we're out on this long dock fishing. It's in January, right? And he goes, "It was in January, Brian." Is that what it was?
Something like that.
And
It
the
was-
Potomac River.
It was
New Year's Eve weekend.
right. So Todd walks up to me. He said, "Hey, boss, what do you want me to do?" I said, "You're gonna jump in the river today, Todd." He says, "Just tell me how and when." Just like that. And we had the whole skit, and he did it. I forget how it all went, but it was hilarious. And Todd's a guy that would be a friend for a very long time. Will do anything for anybody.
It was freezing.
I bet.
It was definitely cold out there. It was cold. We had our hoodies and stuff on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I could find it real fast.
Was that the last time Brian B ever went fishing?
I didn't even fish that time. I was
He
just
didn't
there.
even fish in. He was just there.
Look, Tim Molina even says, "Brian, I have October 1st in the pool of when you will return. Don't let him down."
Oh, it's gonna be around that time, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin, for 24 months a member. Appreciate you very much. Did you find
I'm
it?
trying to find that
Did you
video.
find it yet?
I don't think I might not have uploaded it because everybody else was doing it. So I was like, I don't want to.
I have to go back to my account. That one went back in time.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Wow.
At least 2 years old. 3 years ago.
No, it was 2.
No.
It was 2 years ago. If you look in one of my accounts, you can probably find it. Probably faster because I haven't posted on there lately.
Probably on yours. Your reels.
While Brian's looking, anybody have any questions, real quick,
Yeah.
in the chat or on the panel?
I mean, especially to Freddie and Brian, do you have any
Freddie's been
questions
pretty
for Todd
quiet.
on how to actually catch big
Look,
fish?
I talk to Todd all the time, so I'm good.
Yeah, this is not my first time meeting Todd, Chad. So I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
Chad.
you were starstruck. I'll let you go and answer all the questions.
Exactly.
Me and Todd go back like car seats. Oh, here you go.
Way back.
All right, give it to you guys. Drum roll.
Uh-oh.
This is
Here you
fun.
go.
This is a great video.
Let's see. Facebook. Yep.
I'm kind of
I see it.
scared because when Brian starts hitting
Don't hit
buttons,
the red button, Brian.
Maybe need for bleeping.
Y'all see it?
Yep.
Turn up the volume.
Your internet sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's stuck. There it is.
What's the plan here? Ain't no plan. But this is the plan. You business forgot. Sizzle does not give a fuck.
Beep.
We were supposed to.
It wasn't that deep right
there.
He missed his cue. We were supposed to have a plan. He said, "There's no plan."
Yeah. It's like, what's the plan? He's like, there's no plan. Watch this.
The first TikTok video.
And it was cold. That water was cold.
Very.
He went smooth and I said, never would have.
Yeah, Tim, it wasn't that long ago. I have been fishing once in the last month and a half. Well, way more than
I'm trying to let y'all catch up, and then I'll come back and just show y'all that y'all are really not doing anything.
Girl,
And
please.
you're getting ready to
Y'all
see.
be like, oh Lord, here he come. He's back.
Hey, chat, y'all getting ready to see 2 years later. And it's the same thing. He's still talking about nothing.
Y'all be surprised. Watch.
Hey, Brian, you get into like it's like a cycle, man. You're gonna get, fall into a rhythm where you just don't fish anymore.
I'll be out in the water sooner than you think.
Uh-oh.
That's what you said 3 months ago.
Nah, I told him getting that motor fixed. The motor was crap.
And then 3 months before that, you said the same thing.
Brian, I know where there is a matching boat to mine for a really good price, and it's only like 20 minutes from me. I'm
20
just
minutes
saying.
from you.
Yep.
That ain't close enough.
Well, why don't you buy it? That way, Dee can have her brand new one. You can have the twin.
The only way Brian leaves Montgomery County is if he's in a county car.
Montgomery County. I'm not in Montgomery.
Well, whatever that is.
No, I know you think about it because you're bullying.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking about the guy on the back wall.
Oh,
yeah.
Indeed. Mr. Troy wanted to say thank you for a good show tonight and for having a full show tonight without ending it early, not to bring up
Freddie, thanks for not ending the show early.
the Brian
Exactly.
Means
Thanks, Brian, for not ending it 8.5 minutes early.
Yeah, where he ruined a great episode. So we did go over our normal hour by another 8 minutes just to cover last week's mistake from Brian. I mean, if you want to apologize to everybody right now before we end the show,
I apologize that night.
I would totally understand.
Now let's pause and let's everybody give him a moment of silence.
Hey,
Brian, go ahead and make your apology.
Everyone in chat that was still listening and anticipating what was going on in the show last Thursday, I, Brian Proctor, apologize. Chad told me to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys in the chat for making this possible. And everybody on the panel, Freddie,
Thank you for having me.
Chad, Brian, Todd.
And thanks for everybody for, again, listening to the full story. And the chat was very engaged. As you could tell, there was a lot of messages.
I thought it was someone was going to assume. They
Exactly.
They listened to the story.
Yeah, thank
There
you.
was a lot more listening tonight and not many questions.
Yep. Exactly.
Except from Chad, since he was fanboying, but
we do have another good episodes already planned out next week. I've reached out to someone, and we are going to be back next Thursday night, 8 p.m., and we're going to talk about bait, baby. Yeah.
And something.
We're going to BS. But Todd, thanks,
you
man,
have
for
to
again.
hold them, Chad. Come on, this is your show.
Hang around, Todd. We're going to jump into the back room after the show ends.
You say too much, Freddie. You tell them basically who it is.
Exactly.
That's what Chad's not supposed to say.
Hey, wait a minute, Brian.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Brian, why don't you hit that end stream button for us?
Catch y'all.